All right, you guys, it's Kyra Loves You. I'm here with the legend Kid Poker himself, Daniel Negreanu. Daniel, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing great, man. It's a nice day out in Vegas. Actually, it's rainy and gloomy, and I'm not leaving my hotel room. So I figured I'd have a chat with one of the legends.
Yeah, great way to spend the day.
You and Matt Berkey have been going at it. We want to get straight into it. I want to know your take on this, and what is your side of the story?
Well, it's actually quite simple the way that I see it. Jonathan Little posted something, right? Sort of some generic advice Berkey took issue with. And instead of saying, hey, I disagree with you because of this, said something to the effect of, anyone who thinks this has a seat in my game and I'll give him 3% back. So to translate that for anyone, the reason you would offer this is because A, you think the person's a bad poker player, they're stupid, you're mocking, you're degrading them, right? And this isn't the first time he sort of picks on Jonathan Little, and I kind of noticed that. So what I did was I stuck up for Jonathan Little, okay? Then, Berkey's kind of arrogance and condescension came out, which triggered mine because that's like my go-to as well, is to be arrogant and condescending. And then it became a back and forth about the nitty-gritty of a hand, like who can be more arrogant and more condescending like in a short period of time. And I feel like we both did a good job of like peak arrogance and condescension. I know I certainly had my fun with it for the day. Listen, I acknowledge that. Like I know that's one of my traits, a character flaw. When people sort of come at me, I usually come back with some arrogance, and who knows? There's a lot of reasons why that would happen. I acknowledge that. He seems to think that me saying that is like getting myself off the hook. It's just being self-aware. I've never heard him acknowledge that the biggest part of the reason why he's at the forefront of every beef isn't because of what he's trying to accomplish. It's the way in which he chooses to. And it comes from arrogance, being condescending, speaking down to people as though you're the authority on all things. Nobody likes that. When I do it, nobody likes it. And I don't like it when he does it either. So really, it comes down to he's picking on Jonathan Little. I stood up for him. Then it devolved into a ugly back and forth that I played just as much of a role in as he did.
Okay, so we all saw the back and forth. Challenges were issued. Do you think this is going to be resolved on the felt, or are we going to continue with the keyboard battle?
I think it'll go away personally. I don't think it's going to, build in any, I don't have any interest in it, right? Like, listen, Berkey's been Berkey for a long time. I get along fine with him, always did. He's poked fun at me before. He's mocked me flat out, from an arrogant position, a know-it-all position on stuff that he doesn't even play. But it never bothered me. Like, it's fine. That's kind of part of his shtick or whatever. I left it alone. But I was sick of it. I was sick of just watching him do it to Jonathan Little. So I said something. That's really the end of it. I don't have any personal goals, down the road to, stand up to this guy. Like, listen, they built an entire game around people that have beefs with him. Like, this is sort of his thing now, he gets into beefs with people. I haven't been in a beef with anybody since probably Doug Polk many years ago, and we've squashed that since. And I stayed above it. I stayed out of it. All the back and forth with Nick Vertucci, with D Moon Girl, with, the laundry list of people that have, gone back and forth. I just left myself out of it. I jumped in for a minute, and it was a reminder of like, well, it was fun for the moment. I had nothing else going on. I finished playing the tournament. I didn't give a shit. I was going to spend a day being a keyboard warrior. Just, it's kind of a good reminder of why it's not a good idea. So you don't like get into it all the time, because it's just a waste of time. I just needed a day to waste some time.
No, it's fair. A lot of people have been speculating that these poker beasts have been produced in a sense, so courses can be sold and links can be attached into the reply section. What's your take?
Well, so yeah, a lot of people said, hey, you're just going to give him more clicks and, more attention for business. Like, why do I care? That has no effect on my life. Good for you, buddy. You make a living. What do I care? Oh, don't do it because he's going to make money. I don't care. It doesn't affect the bottom line at all. It is what it is, right? So yeah, I'm sure people have in the past, or they use these things to create attention for themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't tag you specifically in a post to try to get. So this is the funny part. He tags me in a post that's selling mental health Matt course. Okay. I respond, which is exactly what the point of tagging me was about. I respond saying, or you could look at this list of crushers. I don't even mention this guy. I don't know him. I don't know his deal. I don't know what he's about. But then this is the ironic part. You tagged me with his name and the course. I responded And now I dragged him into it. I dragged the guy into it when I was the one tagged on the thing. How do you get there? I don't know, man. It's mental gymnastics.
No, it's definitely mental gymnastics. I think it's fair to say, Daniel, that a lot of these beasts are surface level, not as serious as most people would take them. We did bring up Doug Polk, and you guys had your issues in the past, which are for the most part fairly resolved, and you guys did play heads up. Over under the likeliness that we can see you and Berkey play heads up. I think that's just get straight to it. That's what the people would want to see out of this.
Listen, I don't really care, honestly. So like, I mean, for him, it would be like, people would say it's good for him if that thing happens. For me, it's negligible. It has no effect on my life. I don't care about the money.
Yeah.
The question, like, would I do it for sport, for everybody? Oh, you got to play him. Listen, if I had to play him, I'll play him, whatever. It's not like, I'd be all that concerned. You know what I mean? Like, I'm playing Berkey, right? So, like, I had to play Doug Polk, who is one of the best players. Yeah. Right. So that is like a challenge where I knew I'd be like a significant underdog. But we're not talking about Doug Polk. We're talking about Berkey. We're not talking about Doug Polk. We're talking about Berkey. Berkey. Okay. So, what am I worried about? No. Actually, there's more to lose in that one, right? There's more to lose in that one because, you lose to Doug Polk. It's like, okay, well, you were supposed to lose. But then, like, you got more pressure because if you lose to Berkey, bro, shit.
Well, I think I saw the challenge was if you lost that you would have to take a solve for Y course.
Listen, I'm sure they got good content. It's fine. I just take issue with this. Jonathan Little has been the most successful person in this space by a long shot. He's brought in so many people to the game and they love his content, right?
True.
So why you keep attacking the guy? Why you keep, if you would have been smart, here's what he should have done. And I said this. He should have befriended Jonathan and said, listen, can you help me with my business so that I can be successful? So that I don't have to be bought out to stay afloat, so that I can, learn what you did with the algorithms and how you've been able to be so successful. Instead of doing that, you constantly shit on your competitor, like as a way of what? Making yourself smarter? Like, is that the goal? Like, look how stupid Jonathan Little is. Don't listen to him, listen to me because I'm the smart guy. I don't like that. There's no reason. I don't like when anybody does it. When Dominic Nietzsche was doing it for a while, I messaged him privately and said, I know this stuff works, buddy, but like, you got to sleep at night, So I didn't like that. Jonathan has never, ever like done this to anybody, right? He does his stuff. He does his things. Like, I just didn't feel like he deserved it. I feel nobody was sticking up for him. So I decided to do so.
No, and I could take that, both sides. I could take your side of just, if no one's going to speak up, I have no problem with doing it. In 2024, you said less volume, better quality. In a recent discussion. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, I got to say, I'm pretty proud of myself in 2024 so far for sticking to my guns. Really, I just realized that, like, as you get older and, money's not the driving issue for why I play, I have to really want to be there to be at my best, and I have to be well rested, right? So I always had FOMO. If there's a tournament to play, I play it. I'm going to go. If I'm in a series, I go. Now I'm actually listening to my body and my mind more. Like, after I won the very first event of the year, I took the rest of the week off. Then I had a second, then my next one right after that. And so here in this PokerGo Cup, I decided to skip the 5K off the bat. And I was like, I'm going to rest up for the 10s. Had a bubble the previous night. It was a painful bubble. Some are painful, some aren't. This one stung. So instead of just going to play the 25K as I normally would, I said, you know what? Don't feel physically and mentally ready to play. I'm not going to play. So going forward in 2024, I'm really going to focus on, even if I'm not playing some events, I'm going to focus on trying to play my A game more often, bring my B game more often. And even though that's going to be less events, none of the F stuff. If I'm mentally at a D or an F, I'm not going to show up.
Yeah. They talked about it on the show last night, Patrick Antonius and a few of the players were talking about, Phil Ivey and his prime was never sleeping. And now that he's made it to a point where he's won so much, he's now the biggest sleeper. He rests the most. And when you do see him out, he's in the prime fashion. And I think that is optimally for players like yourself and who are extremely well-talented players, that when you're well-rested, you get the best version of yourself.
I'll tell you what else, too. I love poker, right? And I enjoy playing the game. And I love feeling like when I'm playing, I'm loving it. When I get to the point where I'm like, I don't really feel like being here right now, then don't play that day. Like, because if you do that too often, you go through the motions and you just show up when you don't feel like it, you start to become complacent. And I don't want to ever let myself get there. I want to show up and go when I'm excited to go. And that's what I'm focusing on 2024. Like the World Series for the whole summer, my plan is to just focus on all the big ones, play all the big ones, and just really be ready and raring to go for those.
Well, you're a content creator. I'm a content creator. We like making these videos. 2024, hopefully less tripod abuse and more vlogs. What can we expect from Daniel Negreanu, the content creator, in 2024?
So I'll be doing the vlogs at the World Series of Poker as I do every year. I think this year I may actually, like I said, because I'm only going to play the big events, I'm going to probably take some days off, which means instead of having a vlog every single day, there might be a few days off here and there, which is fine. Instead of me filming the day off, I'm going to take a real day off. No content creation, just lay on the couch, watch Rocky with the puppies, hang out with the wife, and feel recharged. I'm not going to be spending any time in the $300 Gladiator with 24,000 people down to the last 100. That was the most draining event I've played in years. It was very mentally draining because, again, $300 players, they're seeing me sit at the table. It's kind of a big deal for them. So I didn't really have a lot of time to just sit back and chill. There was always, people engaging with me. So it's just mentally draining.
Yeah. I am curious on a side note, while you are on your downtime, you're hanging out at the house. I mean, you got the beautiful dogs, beautiful wife. Are you watching any other content creators, or is there anything that you're enjoying at the moment?
I'll be honest with you, I don't really watch much content. I forgot to mention his name on the Crusher list, but Fedor Holtz is a guy. He does some videos that are free on YouTube. And I just like the way that his brain works. I like how he teaches. I like how he thinks. So sometimes I'll watch some of his stuff. But I do plan on, kind of like taking in some of the content. Again, I'm not, I don't watch vlogs or anything like that. But I think, listening, especially when my peers create content, I think it's worthwhile for me to buy it and learn it. Not learn it, but like understand how they think. And there's a lot of guys that I play with in the high stakes that do courses. So I think it gives me just probably an edge to watch them. And I haven't done that. So, I'm going to take a week off here, do nothing, but I'm going to probably get into watching some Poker Go content, some Triton stuff, and then maybe some specific courses. And again, even a guy, like a lot of people, well, I won't go into this, but yeah, I don't care who they are. If I think they're a good poker player and they have something to offer, I'm going to watch the content.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in the intuition play. But I also see what you're saying right now with it doesn't hurt to consume some of the GTO or some of these the content that your peers are making. Not that you subscribe to it, but just to understand where their train of thoughts are coming. And I heard you say it gives you an edge. You don't have to necessarily marry the theory, but it's good to be around it, right?
Well, here's the thing, right? Everyone talks about GTO theory as though this is monolith of like, this is the right answer, right? But what in reality is, it's a tool that everybody interprets however they interpret it. Not everyone comes up with the same interpretations and the execution of how to do it or what's important and what's not, especially in the live arena. You look at guys like Chance Corneth and Alex Foxen who teach. They are not wearing handcuffs at any point. They make the best play available to them in that moment, right? Whereas I know some other people, they're going to adhere, even though they don't think it's the right move. GTO says do it. But again, what I like to look at is people's application of GTO and find out holes in their thinking, right? So for example, you're up against Grandpa Bill and he bets the river. And Grandpa Bill, he overbets the river. And you go, well, I'm in the top 20% of my range and I have to defend here at a frequency, right? So you roll the dice. Clock says call. You call. Guess what Grandpa Bill shows you? He shows you the nuts, right? So what'd you just do? You made the right play, right? It was a punt. It's a huge mistake. So the idea is when you play live poker, if you want to be the best, if you stick to GTO principles and you don't deviate, you can't be. There will always be people who make more than you. So that's the goal, is to understand how people apply these theories or how they, more importantly, how they misapply them.
Yeah, Viffer last night, he said, if you take a GTO bot and say you sat him at a table, a 9-handed table with 8 of the best players that the robot doesn't know who they are or how they play, chances are that robot is the first one out of the table.
No, actually, I don't even know if I agree with that. So, because here's the thing. You're talking about 8 good players, right? They're all going to be playing pretty theoretically close, right? Here's what I would bet. I'll bet you this. You take the bot and you go play a 1-3 game. Put Foxen in the game with 6 randoms and put the bot in with 6 randoms. I'll take Foxen all day, twice on Sunday. I'll take Chance Corneth. I'll take Fedor Holtz. I'll take these guys who understand how to exploit. And listen, poker's never going to be solved fully, especially live poker, guys. So this idea that you have to be balanced is foolish. If you're randomizing in live tournaments, you are using an inferior strategy. Jesse Lone has said something at the table the other day, had me dying. Lucky Chewy says, Jesse, do you randomize? He goes, hell no, I can't afford to do that shit. I got kids. I got kids to feed.
That's like the ICM is for poor people statement.
I mean, listen, let me ask you this, buddy. There's a gun to your head, right? You got to make a poker decision. Are you going to make the decision based on what you think is best? Or are you going to roll and look at the clock and go, oh, well, I got to keep balanced here? No. If your life depends on it, what you going to do? You're going to try to use your brain and think about what is the best play for this moment. Oh, but then you might be exploitable. Okay, come try it. My life's on the line. I'm going with what I know. Here's one of the things. If you want to be a successful poker player, you have to really, truly believe in yourself. Because, you know, it's a game where like, because of luck, it can distort reality. You know, somebody who's not very good can get lucky and win for a little while and think he's a genius. Conversely, a good player can be making the right decisions and losing and think, maybe I'm not so good. So what really you're required to do is have the self-awareness to know deep in your heart, like, you know what, I am good enough and I believe it because of this, right? And if you don't have faith in yourself, and probably more confidence. I'll tell you what, if you're going to ear towards too confident and not confident enough, be too confident, right? Be overconfident. Push yourself to be the best version of yourself you can be.
Did you see the 21 Savage and Aiden Ross debacle? It was on Twitter. It's been making its rounds, but if you haven't, I'll give you the short story. Famous rapper. He's on tour with Drake. He's selling millions of records, goes on a very popular live streamer's stream. They play a gamble game of high card, and the cards are marked. And it happens on live stream, and the guy gets caught. The rapper gets caught. Did you see any of this?
I did watch the clip. I did. I'm like, that's brazen, right? On a live stream, you're going to put marked cards in the deck. It's crazy.
I know you probably have seen this off camera. Obviously, you know these things exist, but for a younger generation, you know, hundreds of thousands of people are watching. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me tell you something interesting. I just did the audio for an audio book that's going to come out called Confessions of a Crossroads Gambler, about a man who was a cheat from in the 30s all the way up till, you know, he ended up getting hired by Jack Binion to be security for the Binion's Horseshoe because he could spot a cheat. And his whole life, he'd spot cheaters and figure out how to cheat the cheats, right? So it's going to be a very interesting book. And I guess ultimately what it boils down to is this, right? Any game, whether it's poker or the market or whatever, there's always going to be nefarious people that are looking to cheat. So it's a cat and mouse game, right? There's cheaters trying to cheat. There's, you know, the police and the regulators and everybody trying to catch them, right? That was true 100 years ago. It's true today. They're more sophisticated now, especially when you fast forward even online poker, right? Where there's always going to be people trying to do stuff. And it's always going to be upon the organization, like the providers, to do their best to catch them. And it's going to be a cat and mouse game forever. So yeah, it's not surprising to see, like, in that environment, you know, some people are just cut from a different cloth, you know, where, I don't know if it's sociopathy or whatever, where, you know, ethics and morals, they have their own version of them, you know, and they think that, like, cheating is okay. I don't. I've never cheated. I don't cheat at poker. Never have, never would want to. Because for me, again, like I said, it was never about the money, you know, and what's the point of having a trophy if you didn't earn it?
Thank you, Daniel Negreanu, for your time. We appreciate you. If nobody loves you, Kyra loves you.